Aloha, my name is Scott Spallina from the Elder Abuse Unit at the Prosecutor's Office. Before we get started, let me get the legal stuff out of the way. Basically, my views and opinions on crime happening in Hawaii are just that, my views and opinion. They're not representative of the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney. When I say elder abuse, when I say criminals, this is what a lot of people think of. They think of somebody breaking into a house. They think of somebody wearing gloves, have a mask on. However, oftentimes the criminal is somebody like this. Not using violence, not using force, but using a smile, using a telephone, using basically aloha as a weapon. Before we get started, you need to know why seniors are being targeted for elder abuse. First and foremost, it comes down to seniors having more assets than a lot of other people. They spend an entire career amassing wealth, quote unquote wealth. Now you have a lot of seniors thinking, oh, Scott, I'm not that rich. But if they own a house, if they own jewelry, if they own a car, that's something that some loser off the street wants. That's something that their relatives may want. And they'll do anything they can to get the senior's assets. Additionally, seniors are viewed as lonely. And the more lonely you are, sometimes the less common sense you have. Sometimes you'll be trusting to people you should not be trusting to, because we are social creatures. Everybody here wants someone to talk to. And oftentimes, unfortunately, family does not make the time to talk to the kapuna. Family does not make the time to talk to somebody that can't get out and enjoy the things that the rest of the family can do. Oh, the whole family is going to the beach. Oh, let's leave Tutu at home and she can watch her soaps or whatever like that, her K-dramas. That. Tutu still gets lonely. Tutu still needs that companionship. And if she doesn't find it from trusted sources like good friends or family members, she's going to find it from strangers. We're going to go through that a little bit later on. And also, seniors are viewed as being trusting. A lot of criminals think, oh gosh, I can convince her that I'm the long lost son, her long lost son, or a relative that she's never met before. I can build up that trust because I'm going to invest time with this person. Of all the crimes that happen to seniors, financial exploitation is the most common of these crimes. Now granted, oftentimes we see in the news the violent purse snatchings, or we hear about these outrageous crimes that happen involving a death of a senior, malnutrition, neglect, but it's the silent crimes of financial exploitation that are devastating to a senior. Now, when I say financial exploitation, what do I mean? Well, I mean cashing checks without permission, forging signatures, stealing money or possessions, coercing a senior to sign a document, improper use of power of attorney, and misrepresentation of money from a personal or joint account, and scams involving seniors. And who does these crimes? The number one person that does these crimes against seniors are family members. Now you might be saying, Scott, why is it that family members target their own kapuna? I mean, don't they feel guilty about it? Here's the thing about adult children that steal from their parents. They sometimes feel entitled. They sometimes feel, hey, I'm not committing a crime because I buy my mom lunch every so often, so I deserve it. Or, oh, guess what, Scott? I'm gonna get it when she dies, so why can't I get it now? Kind of thing. Or, I had a terrible childhood, so she owes me. Or, I'm only borrowing the money and then later on I'll pay her back, I promise. I promise I'll pay her back. It is often the adult children who steal from their kapuna that are either A, deluding themselves or trying to delude the world as well. And oftentimes they do get away with it because you have a parent or grandparent that it's a shocking realization that, oh my gosh, my child stole from me. I can't believe it. I had this one gentleman basically who saw $12,000 missing from his account. So he went to the bank and the bank produced video surveillance saying, no, it was your son that forged your signature on all these checks and cashed them. And so the bank called the police. The police came down and went to the account holder and said, oh, no. It was a gift. Yeah, that's it. I don't want my son arrested. It'll never happen again, stuff like that. Guess what happened? A month later, it happened where the son stole from the father's sister or his auntie. Like that. It's like a child that takes a cookie from the cookie jar and gets away with it. Do you think he's going to stop with just that one cookie? No. Now that he knows he can get away with it, he's going to steal again and again and again and again. And it's heartbreaking to meet these parents in court and they don't know what to do. They're conflicted. They're basically saying, I look at my child when he's like knee-high to a grasshopper. I mean, when he's a snot-nosed kid like that, he's rascal. That's all, Scott. He's just rascal like that. Like, it's more than rascal when he takes $20,000 out of your closet that you were saving. That's more than just rascal. He has a problem, whether it be he has an attitude problem, whether it be that he has a drug problem, whether it be he has a gambling problem. Adult children take money for various reasons, and quite frankly, I don't oftentimes care. The only thing I care about is that he's taking money from the parents. And I don't care how he justifies it. If you take something from your parents without permission, that's a crime. And that crime is theft, and you can, and hopefully you will go to jail for it. Going back to financial exploitation, we have the case of Mysterio here. She's a great example of a con artist. When I first met Mysterio, she had just taken money from a senior gentleman she had met on 4th Street Mall, right outside McDonald's there on 4th Street Mall and Hotel Street. Basically, she approached this gentleman and said, oh, you look like a nice Christian man. Can I go ahead and buy you lunch at McDonald's? This man, Stanley Ho, he said, sure, why not? And after talking, Mysterio gave him a sob story that her sister needed money for stomach surgery. So he offered to pay as a loan like that. And over the course of 3 days, he kept on giving her more money and more money and more money. And finally she said, oh, guess what? When she got like about $34,000 from him, she said, you know what? I want to pay you back as soon as I can, this $34,000. So can I go ahead and I have a house in California that needs a little bit fixing up. But what will happen is I'll go ahead and fix up the house and then give you the money for the proceeds. And all I need is $100,000 to fix up the house. So he's in the process of giving her $100,000. She's inside the bank asking for $100,000 cash. The teller said, oh, Mr. Ho, why do you need all your cash right now? And he said, well, you see that lady out there in the street outside your camera's view? I mean, she has this to tell me. She told me this. And immediately the police were called and they arrested Mysterio like that. And you might be saying, oh, well, he's just foolish with his money. I mean, he's probably some sort of billionaire that has all this money. No. What Mr. Ho was, he was a janitor at a public school. He rented a small room and a house in Paoa Valley for the past 40 years. He had nothing to spend his money on. But he worked hard for his money to where he did have a lot of liquid assets, basically in the form of cash. And that's who Mysterio targeted. Okay. Or you have this gentleman right here, who basically is a nice looking guy, and he convinced his investors that if you invested money with me today, tomorrow you would make double your money. If you gave me $1,000, tomorrow or next month you'd have $2,000. He was making these absurd promises. And guess what? He was Army National Guard. He ran for office. He was very respectable. And guess what he did with all that money that he got from all these investors? He went to Vegas and just partied. That's it. He was a smooth talker, and he had like nice pictures of him with all the pretty ladies and everything like that, of all the money that he invested. He invested a lot of people, and they got a lot of money from this. Or this gentleman right here, who basically he targeted city and county employees to invest their retirement funds. So you know what? Pull your money out of the city and county retirement thing and I'll invest for you. And I can double your money. You don't even have to work. You can retire early and everything like that. The only investment he did is he invested in a new wallet because he needed it because of all the money he took. Now, in talking about financial scams, you cannot but help talk about what's called advance fee frauds, or basically your lottery scams. And these scams here, basically the premise is you've won a lot of money, but guess what? Don't tell anybody you won this money, okay? And guess what? You have to pay taxes. Because, I mean, you get money, you have to pay taxes like that. And guess what? We're going to give you 24 hours to pay the taxes. So don't tell anybody you won all this money. We're going to give you 24 hours to pay. Then once they get you on the hook, they're going to ask for more money, more money, more money. Oftentimes, adult children don't realize what's going on until it's too late. We had this one gentleman, the police were called on him. He was the adult son of the victim. What happened is that at KPT, he saw his mom, this Cahill Park Terrace, public housing, he saw his mom one day dressed in her finest dress, like that. He said, "Mom, why are you dressed up so nice? You're not going anywhere." "Oh, because the governor's gonna come. He's gonna give me a new car and $20 million. And the cameras are gonna be there." I said, what are we talking about? "Oh, I've been for the past 6 months giving all my money to the lottery, and they said today I'm gonna get the new car, and the governor's gonna go ahead and give it to me on TV. That's why I want to look all nice and everything." The son just blew up because he saw all the money that had gone out. He saw all the debts, all the unpaid bills that she showed him. She's on the verge of actually being evicted. And he created such a ruckus, the police were called. And that's how we found out about this case. Because this adult son was just crazy with anger. Again, these are crimes that oftentimes we don't hear anything about. Because oftentimes the victims don't realize they are being abused until it's too late, and they're just too shy. They don't want to get the police involved. Yeah, that's what happened in this case here, where basically a woman came in with a friend of mine and said, "Scott, I lost a lot of money to this scam. I do realize it's a scam now." And the scam was basically, "Congratulations, you won $2 million, and to prove you won $2 million is a card with $2 million on it. Unfortunately, you have to pay a fee in advance to activate the card." And that's what she did. And she paid well over $100,000 to try to activate this card. And she came into my office wanting to see if I can somehow get her money back, but not get the police involved, because she had taken all the money that the husband had saved for retirement and spent it on this scam. Or this example here, or basically what will happen is you get a letter and you'll get a check as well. And that check will basically say, "Congratulations, you won the money, and we know you have to pay a fee in advance. So here's what's going to happen is that you have this check, you present it to the bank, and the bank will give you the money, and you just send us back that money." And so the people are thinking, "Oh my goodness, well, the bank's going to tell me if there's a scam or not. I'll just give them the check." So the bank's going to look at this check, and they're going to trust you, not the check, but they're going to trust you. So they're going to give you the money. And you're going to give this money, think, "Oh shoot, I just won the lottery then." You can take this money to pay the advance fee fraud, so you're going to wire it to the scam artists. And then what's going to happen is that a couple of days later, the bank's going to call you saying, "Guess what? Your check bounced. And because it bounced, you owe us money." And that's how that scam works as well. And we see that oftentimes where people say, "Scott, it must be true because my check passed." So just wait a little bit, because it's going to bounce later on. Banks are in such a hurry to say yes to their customers that they don't do the appropriate screening process. When I first moved to the islands in the 80s, I had to wait 10 days for a check to clear before they gave me money. Nowadays, it's instantaneous. And scammers are taking advantage of that instantaneous transaction. Now, how bad is it? How bad are these lottery scams really, Scott? They're so bad that I'm hearing reports when I go to pawn shops that the pawn owners are saying, "Scott, people are coming into our pawn stores. They're selling their Hawaiian bracelets. They're selling their jewelry. They're selling their wedding rings because they quote unquote won the lottery. And because of that, they need the money for their jewelry, thinking, oh my goodness, if I just get a little bit more money, I'll get millions in advance. I'm having realtors call me up and they're saying, Scott, I have this one gentleman that he wants to sell his condo because he won the lottery and he needs the proceeds from his condominium sale to pay for his winnings. And then when he gets his winnings, he's gonna buy 5 condos. That's his thing. And I've had realtors, plural, meaning more than once, I've had these realtors calling me up saying that they won $100 million plus, so they need a large chunk. And the only way they can get a large chunk of money is to sell their homes. So that's what they're doing. And we have police telling me that they're having more and more crimes of seniors writing bad checks. So imagine someone's mom or grandma intentionally writing a bad check to get just enough money to pay the fraudsters, thinking that, okay, I'm not gonna get any trouble because I'm gonna get these millions of dollars back and then I'll be able to pay off the bank and then the police won't get involved. And oftentimes that won't happen. We're gonna talk a little bit about what's called the power of attorney. Basically, this is a legal permission slip. You can go ahead and have somebody basically sign away your rights. And like, imagine going to Auntie, having Auntie sign over, I give nephew all my stuff to do what he wants to do. And so you have nephew then selling the house underneath Auntie. You have nephew selling the car. You have nephew going into the bank accounts. So it's a legal permission slip to act in the place of Auntie for a lot of things. And unfortunately, we call this a license to steal. And that's exactly what this young woman did here. She was a neighbor of our victim. And what she did, she befriended her neighbor. And then after befriending her, she had her sign a power of attorney saying, oh, Auntie, I can help you do your banking. I can help you do all these things like that. And so the auntie trusted her because, again, the auntie was lonely. The senior was lonely. So you had Miss Chun here. She used a power of attorney. And then when the senior went to the hospital for a routine surgery, what Miss Chun did was sell the senior's home from her. And she netted, I want to say, well, let's see, over $600,000. Fortunately, we were able to catch her, and she's in prison today. Sweetheart swindles is another thing. And what we see here when I say this is that you have a lot of seniors that are, again, lonely. A lot of seniors that are going to these websites that are tailored for seniors. And they're basically looking for love in all the wrong places. They meet somebody online, and that somebody online feeds them a line. Basically, oh, I can tell that you are my soulmate. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I'm an international writer. I write all over the world, and I can't wait to move to Hawaii and marry you and make mad, passionate love. I'm very successful in my job. And oh, guess what though? I'm having a little bit of trouble with my visa, and I need some instant cash. Once I get this cash from you, then I'll pay you back. I swear once I get to the American banks and be able to pay you back. But if you can wire me money, I'll be on the next plane after that. They use scams like this. Now before, it was them going towards senior women. Now what we're seeing is a trend of targeting senior men who are going online. As this website shows, basically it's a Russian website where basically they advertise these young ladies for senior men. And it's basically a sugar daddy kind of website looking for one of those type of situations. And if you don't like healthy women, here's Asian women as well targeting. So you can go ahead and go on these websites, and it'll be these Asian women that supposedly are in their 20s or around that age looking for people in their 60s and 70s. And they'll try to scam money that way. Okay. And of course, we've all heard of the grandma scams. And how these work is that a senior will get a call in the middle of the night. And that call will say, unfortunately, I have some bad news. Your child has gotten into an accident. Oh, you mean little Jimmy? Yes, little Jimmy. His son got into an accident Oh, you mean Nathan? Yes, Nathan. He's the one that's injured right now. And they need money. And his head fell off and they need to reattach it. And so they need money immediately. So what happens is that the senior will go ahead and wire money, or the senior will give a credit card information. The senior will go down to Walgreens and get a gift card and then read the numbers on the back of the gift card. And we'll have this one case basically where a senior gentleman, he got a call like this and convinced somebody that the relative was basically injured and needed help. And they kept the senior on the phone the entire time and basically said, okay, where do you live at, sir? What's your address? And so the senior gave his address and said, okay, we're gonna send a cab to you right now. And sure enough, within 15 minutes, a cab showed up. Now don't hang up the phone, sir, don't hang up the phone, we're gonna walk you through this. Okay, so I can tell from Google Maps that the nearest Walgreens is this address here. So go into the cab, tell them that you wanna go to Walgreens, but stay on the phone the entire time. And basically we have witnesses, we have the cab driver, we have the cashier at Walgreens, basically describing how this gentleman, almost in his pajamas, hopped into the cab, walked into Walgreens, purchased hundreds of dollars of gift cards, purchased it, and then went in the parking lot and read the numbers to the stranger over the telephone. And then once the numbers were given, then the call ended right there. And you have this guy in his pajamas in a parking lot wondering, what the heck happened? How's my son? How's my grandson? I mean, what's going on there? Again, these calls, these grandma calls, rely on someone making an emotional decision with your money. And you never want to do that. You never want to make an emotional decision with your money, because then you're going to make mistakes. A good salesman wants you to make an emotional decision with your money. When you go into a car lot, a used car lot, what are they going to do? They're going to flatter you. They're going to say, oh, you're going to look so good. You're going to pick up the chicks with this money or with this car. You're going to do all these great things with this car. They want you to make an emotional decision with the money. When you see a car advertisement on TV, what do you see? You see someone driving fast, no other cars on the road. You have all the sexy women like looking to eyeing that car like that. They don't show you the big price on that car the entire time. They don't show you stuck in rush hour traffic in Hawaii. I mean, they just show you with the fancy music going up and down these mountains and everything like that. Again, they want you to make an emotional decision with your money. And that's exactly what con artists do as well. And that's evidenced in this grandma scam. Ransomware. These are basically cons where you're on your computer and you get a virus. You open up something on your email. You click on something, you get a phone call basically from Windows saying, oh, I hate to tell you, but your computer's running slow. And so therefore, we can help you make your computer run faster. And then so download these type of software that makes your computer supposedly run faster. What they're doing is they're putting a bug in your computer. And what will happen is that bug will then say, you owe us money. Once you give the money, your computer will be unlocked. And you might be thinking like, okay, who would be stupid enough to fall for this? We've had large nonprofits in Hawaii. We've had large agencies, large companies that have let, maybe it's been a low-level employee that opened up an email that didn't properly decrypt it or whatever, and you get this scam going on there, and you're forced to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to unlock your computers. That's why when people say, back up your computers, go ahead and do that. Keep up with all the anti-virus software. Go ahead and do that, please. Okay, prevention. Okay. This is self-evident. Don't give personal information to a stranger. Now, who's a stranger? Well, basically, a stranger is someone that you don't know. If someone calls you saying, oh, is this Miss So-and-so at 555-0000? Yes. Okay, I need to verify that I'm talking to my account holder. Can you give me your credit card information, please? Can you give me your date of birth, please? Can you give me your social security number, please? Again, these are strangers. Just last year, we had an incident where basically this one woman, the victims are saying, Scott, this one woman, she sounded like an elderly Japanese lady. And she basically said that my daughter, she said, your adult child missed a medical appointment. And so they need to reschedule so they could call back the doctor, please. And they left you as a emergency contact. That sounds believable, right? The kapuna gets this call. Okay, yeah, so my daughter, my son missed an emergency thing. But then what this lady ended up doing is saying, okay, while I have you on the phone, can you update me on her chart, please? What is your daughter's full name? Okay. What is your daughter's date of birth? Okay, what's your daughter's social security number? And with that information, they just, okay, well, I guess they need to update the chart. They need to do this. What's your daughter's address? What's your daughter's this? What's your daughter's that? What's your daughter's this? So that's how they're able to scam all these individuals out of personal information of their adult children. Locking mailboxes. People don't understand that criminals go around neighborhoods opening up mailboxes as if it's Halloween and taking mail and scooping it. They can go down the street, bang, 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 scoop the mail, and then be out of there in like 5 minutes. That's what this individual did. What he would do is he'd steal mail, then he'd steal IDs. And then with that, he'd get credit card information. And basically he would open up all these accounts in these people's names and take their money. We encourage people to do estate planning. Far too often, I get calls in my office where basically I have an adult child accusing another adult, their sibling, of taking money from grandma and grandpa after they died. And basically what happens is grandma and grandpa promised so many people so many things they could not deliver. So we ask people to tell your children what they're going to get while you're alive, because far too often I'm hearing all these accusations of criminal intent from the children. Like, oh, mom promised me this. No, she promised me that. And without a living will, without some sort of trust, it just all goes to by the wayside. Don't rush into deals. Again, this is all part of making emotional decisions with your money. Don't do it. And tread your mail for those same purposes. One big tip is please don't enter sweepstakes. What happens when you enter sweepstakes is you're giving your information freely to people that buy these lists. So basically what happens is you enter a contest. You want that $20 gift card from Long's. So you see this box by the cash register. You fill out your name. I'm gonna put my name, my email, my name and my phone number, put it in this box. Guess what happens to all those slips of paper with your information on it? They're made into lists. They're called mooch lists. You can go online and purchase these mooch lists. Then what will happen is that a con artist can purchase these same mooch lists and basically create a con around this. They can call you up, they can email you saying, congratulations, Miss So-and-so, you won this. Congratulations, Mr. So-and-so, this is your bank and you got this windfall. So again, don't freely give your information to criminals or to contests because they're going to use it for other means. Number one prevention tip, learn to be rude. Please, criminals rely on seniors to be nice. Criminals rely on seniors to give them the time of day. When you do that, all you're doing is emboldening that criminal to try to take advantage of you. They know now that you have children that don't live at home. They know now that you're married or unmarried. They know now that you're retired. They know all these personal things that you would give up in a conversation. And these criminals are trained to take advantage of you. Unfortunately, don't be an easy victim. Lock your doors. Don't give personal information to strangers. And sometimes turn off the aloha because criminals do not deserve your goodwill. Thank you very much.